Okay, today we're doing domain and range of linear functions. That's A2A. This page is going to go in page 10 in your composition notebooks. We're going to start with linear functions that go on forever and ever. Okay, those arrows means that it's going to keep going forever and ever and ever. It's not going to stop, right? So go ahead and circle that with any color you want. And because it's going to go on forever and ever, my domain for a linear function like this is always all, hold on, I wrote it wrong. It's all real numbers, which this is the symbol for all real numbers. That means all the numbers in the world. Decimals, fractions, everything. Okay, so it's all real numbers. Range, because it's going to go down forever and ever and up forever and ever, it's going to be the same thing, all real numbers. Domain and range for a linear function like this that has arrows on both sides will always be all real numbers, always. Okay, because it has the arrows going on both sides. Now the difference between this one and this one is that this one is going to stay right here on 3. So hold on. Okay, on this second one, my domain, remember domain is the x, so my x's are still going to go forever and ever to the left and forever and ever to the right. So my domain, my x, is still going to be all real numbers. But the range is not. Because range is the y, right? My y line. Where does this linear function stay at? What number does it stay? What number does this line stay at? 3. It's going to stay at 3 forever and ever and ever, right? It's not going up and it's not going down. So it's going to stay at 3. That means my y will always equal 3. My y is always going to equal 3 for this one only because it stayed right there at 3. Got it? Okay. At the bottom, let's move down here. Now these are going to have endpoints. They don't have arrows anymore. They have endpoints. So if the endpoint is closed, that means it can equal to it. It can equal to that point. It includes that point. And then the inequality will have a line underneath. Okay? Only if the point is closed. If the point is open, that means it does not equal. Not equal. And it is not included. So it's just going to have a less than, but no line underneath. Okay? No line underneath means it doesn't equal to that point. Okay, so when we write our domain and ranges, we're going to write them like this. Domain is the x, and then it's going to have 2 less than symbols in front and behind it. Okay? And the range is the y, and it will have a less than symbol in front and behind it. Okay, that's how we're going to start it. And we're always going from least to greatest. So write that down. Always least to greatest. So let's go ahead and do this example. Okay? It has closed circles on both ends, right? So which symbol am I going to use for this? This one, the less than or equal to one, okay? So when I write my domain, I'm going to have these symbols, but with a line underneath it because it's closed circles. Okay, and just how we did it yesterday when we looked at the points, I'm going to go look at this point right here. Where is it at on the x? It's at -2, right? So my first number is going to be -2 because that's the smallest number on the x. Then this one is right here at 2 on the x. So the biggest number is 2 on the x. That means my domain goes from -2 all the way to 2. From -2 right here all the way to 2. Okay? Now use another color because now we're going to do the range. So I'm going to do blue for range. And again, they're both closed circles. So I'm going to use y with less than or equal to on both sides. That means it has to have a line underneath because they're both closed circles. Okay? And now we're going from the lowest on the y. So my y, the lowest point would be right here at -2, right? So -2 goes first. All the way up to what? 2, which in this case ended up being the same thing as the domain, but it's not going to happen all the time. Okay, so from -2 all the way to 2. Let's do this one right here. Now I have a closed circle and I have an open circle. So I'm going to have two symbols, one with a line, one without a line. So my x, let's start with x first, domain. The lowest point is at -2 and it has a closed circle. So it's going to be -2 less than or equal to. It has to have a line underneath because it's a closed circle. El punto está cerrado. Okay? It's filled in. And it goes all the way to 2 with an open circle. So it's going to not have a line underneath. So this is called -2 less than or equal to x less than 2. So it's between -2 and 2, but 2 is not included. Okay, 2 is not included in the solution. And if we do the range, we're going to do the same thing. We start with y. One of them is going to have a line underneath, and one of them is not going to have a line underneath because one's a closed circle and one's an open circle. So the lowest point right here that it goes to is -1. That's where my open circle is. So it's going to be -1 less than. Okay, no line underneath because -1 has an open circle. Okay, and it goes all the way up to what? To 1. And that's where my closed circle is. So I'm going to say less than or equal to 1. Okay, in order to remember this, we use, write this down at the bottom, we use $, DLR, and ribbit, RBT. $ stands for domain is left to right. Left to right. When we wrote this down, we went from the leftmost point to the rightmost point. So always left to right. Okay? Ribbit stands for range is bottom to top. B stands for bottom. T stands for top. Okay? So when we did the range for this one, we went from the bottommost point to the topmost point. And I have these two written down on my wall. Okay, look at my wall. On the left side, I have dollar ribbit. And I'm going to write down domain is left to right and range is bottom to top, so you guys can always remember that. Okay? Let's try. I'm going to have you do this one by yourself, but I'm going to help you with this one. So let's do the domain of it first. So X is left to right. Left to right. So what's my leftmost point? -2, open circle. So -2 less than. That means no line underneath because it's an open circle. And the rightmost point is at 2. And that's a closed circle. I covered it up, but that's a closed circle. Where is it? Right there. Right? It's a closed circle. So it's going to be less than or equal to 2. The range, Y, is bottom to top. Bottom, the lowest point at the bottom is right here, which is 0. And that's a closed circle. So 0 less than or equal to, because it's a closed circle at 0. All the way to the topmost point, which is right here at 2. And it's an open circle. So less than 2, no line underneath because it's an open circle. Okay? I'm going to have you try this one. You can pause the video, try it on your own, finish it up, and then you're going to do the quizzes assignment. So if you go to Schoology, let me go to Schoology, Algebra 1, whatever period you're in, click on the link for quizzes. Okay, you can open it up right here, or you can just type join.quizzes.com, and I'll have the code. You're going to type the code right here. I'm going to have the code on the board, right here on the left side. Okay? I'm changing the code every period. So go ahead and finish the one that we haven't done. And then you can go ahead and start on the quizzes. As soon as one person starts, I will start the quiz and you can join in whenever you can.